Hello, this is John from Broad Prospecting. Glad to see you back here. This is episode number 4 on the series of things I wish I'd been told earlier in my career or life generally that I'm now going to be telling you. So, today we're talking about the subject matter of how do you actually understand where to go and what to do to get ahead. Now, people are going to assume, oh, I have a boss, I have a whatever, parents I have, whoever you're referring to in this situation. We'll just stick with the work example. I have a boss who should tell me what my goals are or what projects need to get done. No. People don't walk around with an idea of what needs to get done with a fully fledged out priority of their life that others could help them with day to day. Why? Because they won't need that. They have an idea of what they want to do day to day, but what they want to do and what they want you to do is very different. So if you go to your boss at work and you say, hey, what's the next project for me? They're going to go, probably 9 out of 10 times. Okay. They might give you some vague feedback like, oh, well, XYZ thing could be better, or, this is coming down the road. Let's look at that next week, whatever. Okay. Not helpful. Usually not helpful. So what do you need to do here? There's kind of 3 ways that I would go about this. 1, take a notepad and just have it next to you whenever you're working for like 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. And every time you get annoyed by anything that's specific, write down what annoyed you, why, when. Okay? And anytime someone complains about something to you or complains in a meeting about something, write down what it was, why, when, who. Okay? Or, maybe you get an email saying, hey guys, I don't understand this thing. Okay, not understanding is the same thing as being annoyed by or being burdened by something. Because if you don't understand something, it takes extra time to fix it. Okay, that's extra time that you can maybe get back if you fix that problem. So it's a problem still. So track that for, a month, 2 months, 3 weeks, whatever. Depends on how often you end up with these situations. Categorize them and say, okay, here's like the 4 types of things that happen and where they're happening and why. And then from there you say, okay, here are things that need to get fixed because they're a problem for me. And if they're a problem for me, they're probably also a problem to my boss to some degree. Maybe it's like a 9 out of 10 problem for me and it's like a 3 out of 10 problem for them because they're, 1 step away from it, whereas I'm in it day to day. But that still means it's bothering them to some degree. Okay? Always assume that. And if you have a team where you work with other people closely, if it bothers you, it probably also bothers other people in your team, or at least some of them, because you're so interconnected, it's going to have to. So find those problems and then focus on those and say, here's what the priority needs to be. Okay? And this is specialized work. Okay, we talked about specialized versus standard work. This is in the specialized work category. So if you're looking for a project because you're kind of up to speed in other things, specialized. Okay? So you say to yourself at this point, okay, how do I go about fixing that? Now, we'll do another video on fixing later. We'll get to that point. But the second thing you could do if you don't have a good, clear picture of what's happening after you've recorded all these instances, or you don't have to take the time to do it, whatever, you can also look at things like, okay, I could go investigating. How would you investigate? Go to your boss, ask them for direction, like, hey, what would you fix if you could just fix something right now? And they're going to say this thing. Okay, ask for like 3 examples, general examples. There's your starting points. Then you look around and you say, okay, which of the 3 things my boss just mentioned are impacting or related to me to the point where I could actually work on them? Make a list of the things you have access to and say, these things. Okay, now you may have narrowed down your list of 3 to 2. Cool. Now you need 1 more point to triangulate. So you go to somebody else, whether it's a person in your team who's a senior person or somebody with a different specialty on your team than what you're doing, whatever, and you say, hey, I have this idea that I could work on these 2 things. What's your perspective here? And they're going to give you some feedback. Now you've got 3 different notes here, and you can triangulate on what the actual problem is and pick one. Maybe you need 4 notes, okay? Maybe you have a bigger list to work through. Cool, keep investigating. And then once you get to that point, now you have a solution, go that route. It might not be perfect because you had to kind of crowdsource it, but you're getting closer to that target every time you get another input, okay? Now you have a project you can work on or a direction you can go to find a project. And the third way I'd go about this is off and on you'll see this in places where there's like big teams or a lot of work flowing is you'll have the same type of task that comes across your desk 5 times maybe, right? Okay, cool. But when the task comes across your desk, but it comes from this specific person, everyone jumps. Oh man, this person put in this task. We need to get done right now. But the other 4 people that put in that task, nothing. Who cares? If it's done the next 3 days, we don't, we're not going to worry about it. Why is that one person special? Okay, cool. There's your task list. You got to find someone who is special or important in some way. Usually those people are either one, highly ranked, so it's like, hey, you have to get back to them because they're powerful, or two, they're loud and annoying and aggressive. So you want to get their stuff done so they don't make problems for you. Either way, good people to have on your side. If they're loud and annoying, no one likes working with an a-hole. Like, we all hate it. Okay, fine. But if there's an a-hole at your company and they're still around, they're either highly placed, like connected in some way and it's protecting them, or they're very good at their job, or both. Either way, it'd be good to have them on your side. So you could make a project, not necessarily like a, hey, I have these check boxes to get this done and deliver, something on a platter. But your project could be, I want to be the go-to person for that individual. When they have a question or a problem, they come to me because I solved their problem the best, and they're going to give you credit within your job because your team doesn't like working with them because they're loud and annoying probably, or it's risky to deal with them because they're highly ranked and it's like, ooh, I make a mistake, ends my career, whatever. By the way, that won't happen. If someone's way above you in the chain and you make a small error, they don't care. They have bigger problems to worry about. They won't remember down the road, but they will remember if you consistently deliver for them most of the time, and you will become their person, and that will help you within the company. So your project can be identifying something through input, or it can be identifying an area where you need to get better connected. That's the ways I would go about finding out, hey, what's the next step for me outside of the day-to-day grind if you're not getting good feedback, which you will almost never get, ever. Whether you're going into an entry-level job, whether you're moving between departments to kind of a new role across time in your career, you will almost never get great feedback. No one's going to sit down with you for an hour and say, here's all the minutia here, here's all the relationships here, and here's all of my personal thoughts on what the next steps are. No, never going to happen. So you got to start plotting that path for yourself, and this is kind of how you do it. So we'll wrap that one right here. Thanks for coming back to the channel if you're coming back, and hope to see you again if you're new. Again, this is John, and I'll catch you later. Thanks.